welcome back, everybody. Jeff, my guy.
Yo, what's up?
We're doing another one.
We're doing another podcast. We love it. We love doing these. Thank you guys so much. Everyone who tunes in every single week and doing this. Seriously, we couldn't do this without you guys. This would mean nothing if we didn't have you. So
we are having a blast. And we hung out all night tonight.
We did. We had a great night tonight.
Yeah. Like our locals is kind of in a shift right now. They're in a couple week move. So we're taking advantage of these nights and hanging out and doing some deck testing. And I know we've been making some decks all week. I know that I've created a couple. You've created a couple. You guys are going to see them on the channel shortly. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. This BD12 is, an interesting format for sure. For sure, it's tough. We got the people who don't like the format, people that do. But what I've been really liking right now is just the time and the creative and the freedom to make all these decks, get them recorded. Yes, like you said, we didn't have locals today, unfortunately. Our shop is just moving temporarily. Transitioning, no big deal. As soon as they find a new building and get all set up in there. But we decided we were going to take advantage and just really get a backlog of content recorded. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity because guess what, guys? Every other video, Digital Gate Studios, hit the notification bell, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things that you hear everybody tell you to do because we got deck profile videos coming your way all the way.
Yeah, this has been a really fun week for me in particular. And I know from you too, because you were sending me all these like just list after list after list that you're putting together in your head. Yeah, me too. Yeah. I mean, I built a Wargrey list and a Lord Knight list, and you built you built 2 bird decks. I mean, we're all over the place. We got a bunch of fun stuff that we've actually vetted and play tested and had a lot of fun with.
That's important.
These aren't just like decks that we were just like, oh yeah, there's 50 cards. These are decks that we're having a lot of fun with. We tested quite a bit with, and we're having a lot of
and that's important to us. That's important to us, right? When we shoot you guys' content, whether it's us, whether it's people on the channel, whether it's whoever, we specifically want to have testing done. Yeah, because anybody can make a deck on paper. I've done it so many times where I'm like, on paper, this thing is the greatest deck I've ever built. And then you go to test it and you're like, wow, this thing's trash. Yeah. Right. Or you just you build a good deck on paper, which is generally what happens. I think most people can build decent decks, but then it's just, changing 1 here, changing 2 here, changing ratios, peaking this, tweaking that. So that's what we had the opportunity to do today and it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason too, is why we have so many different contributors on the channel is because we can't physically build every deck.
We can't. We tried. we tried at the beginning of the game. Sure.
Yeah.
When there was 3 decks, and that's it. But now,
But now when we jump into it and we see this awesome red hybrids list at locals, that just kills things. We're like, oh, you have to come film this, or whether it's Bloom Hydra or whatever. Like the reason you guys see so many contributors on the channel is because these are decks that are doing very, very well. Yeah. And they're strong, and we didn't build them at all, and they're not just pulled off a meta list. Like a lot of these are really thought out lists from very qualified people. And thank you again to everyone that has sat in these chairs and given us awesome content for you guys, because
it's great.
It's a big community effort and we appreciate it.
We all have different personalities, right?
Absolutely.
We all like to lay our decks out differently. We all like to do our ratios different. We all like to build decks differently. And so having that opportunity to have all these different people come in and show off what makes them tick, right? It's just awesome for us. We love it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, my guy.
Yes.
We've had quite a bit of news this week.
We have.
Not only have we had news this week, we once again were bitten by the Bandai bug.
Every time.
Every Thursday. We film these on Wednesday. Bandai always drops crazy news on Thursday, the day in between.
The day in between our video announcing.
If you always think we're a week behind, it's not, because it's just how our schedule lines up. So we're going to talk this week about the ban list. Let's just start with the ban list.
Let's do it. Yes, please.
Here we go. Okay, so whether or not you're a big fan of this, I mean, we're going to jump into it.
Yep.
This hit us like a ton of bricks, and I think it just came out of nowhere for the entire community,
right? It feels
right?
like it came out of nowhere.
You know why I think it feels like that is because they gave us this huge week-long teaser last time where they're like, new ban list coming next week on Friday, right? And then they hit us with 1 card.
Yeah.
The level 4 Greymon X.
It's the level 4 Greymon, yeah.
And we're like, you teased an entire week of ban list for that?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we wake up in between podcast recording and podcast posting, and they're like, here's 4 cards. And I would say borderline 3 of them.
Yeah.
You would never guess.
I agree with you.
So let's talk about the one we expect, right? The Imon.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we were talking about this on the other day about what would you hit in the Beelzemon deck.
Yeah,
I think this is the right card if you really have to hit a card in that
yeah.
deck. It does kind of suck that they have to do that, right? Right, but I do think it was getting a little out of hand, a little carried away. I don't hate the idea of restricting the Etmon to 1.
Yeah.
So, but none of these cards have been banned. There's still only one banned card in the game. Just the Mega Digimon Fusion.
MDF, yeah.
Which sucks for the little Loop fans, right? Because at least with the 1, they could do something with it.
Yeah.
But, all these cards are just restricted to 1.
Yeah. But I think if you're going to hit 1, if you're not going to hit, I think the other one was probably, I saw some people calling for Rivals Barrage because that one was pretty strong.
Rivals Barrage, yeah.
That was pretty strong, but I don't think
I feel like I don't like the Death Slingers. The Death Slingers is the one
are pretty
that
nasty
I would rather
too.
than the Rivals
Gains
Barrage.
memory and kills something for cheap.
It's brutal, right? And it says it's just a level 4, but it's always a 5 or 6 or 7.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
By the time they're going through the whole deck, it's popping whatever.
Yeah. So I wasn't mad at the Etmon. I know we have some Beelzemon fans in our group that were,
and rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully
so. Especially the ones that have been loyal since EX2.
Yeah,
been playing that deck when a third of their deck did things when they milled, compared to everybody else jumping on their bandwagon. Because I know we definitely have like 3 or 4 at our locals that have been playing it since EX2.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too is based on the fact that if you look at, we have EX4 coming out soon, right?
Yes,
and if you look at how the Japanese situation was, Beelzemon still ran rampant through EX4.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they didn't have restrictions. I mean, that whole Omnimon, black, blue, red, cool stuff that you like, it's just not fast enough to compete with Beelzemon.
Yeah.
So I think that they really want EX4 to be a more fair set and let us experiment in EX4 rather than have Beelzemon just still a powerhouse chugging through.
Well, that's a great point you made. All of these cards that were hit were cards that made their decks insanely fast.
Yeah.
Right? So they really did slow down the meta with these 4 card choices.
Yeah. But there were some that we did not see coming. And if you were going to ask me what color would get hit the most, it would not have been green.
I don't know why I'm surprised that it's green that got hit, because Bandai hates green.
Apparently.
Bandai just puts bad things in green or experiments with green and then quickly takes it away before you get to enjoy it.
Blossomon was not a quick takeaway.
Blossomon, no, that's a BT3 card.
Yeah.
That has been around the beginning. I've loved Blossomon for a long time. It is an outstanding level 4.
It's the poor man's Arbomon, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really good, too, because it's a vegetation. So it's better in the Bloom Lord than Arbor or Argo, you could argue. And it's 7k DP, Digizorb completely for 0.
Yeah.
Do I think it would have been hit had it have been a Digizorb 2 instead of Digizorb 3?
Probably not.
I don't know. No. But I also don't know if I agree with this.
I don't either.
Because I don't feel like the Blossomon is what made Bloom Lord and all that stuff terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes, it's strong. Yes, it makes that deck good. But let green have a good deck.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to take away Grand Kawaga.
If you were going to take away Blossomon, why not take it away? Why not take it away during the Nidhogg era when it was actually a menace?
Yes. Yeah. Back then when they could Digizorb and get into a level 6 for nothing.
Spin your whole board.
Just boom. Like back then it did way more work. Like, yes, obviously it's strong now. Guys, we would love to hear in your comments what you think about not only the Etmon restriction, but now this Blossomon restriction, and I'm going to ask you about every big card you think on this list, but I don't get it. I don't understand this Blossomon because, guys, if you also, shout out to Basil, if you haven't, we love having you around. Awesome member.
Top 10 regional.
Top 10 regional. Super stoked with green. He's been killing it with that deck. Like, his list only played one Blossomon before the restriction. He didn't know about it.
I had to go back and look at that because that video was about to post right after the restriction. I was like, oh, no, we have to. I was like, oh, no, he's already ahead of the game.
He's already ahead of the game. And I think he just kind of knew you don't need more than one in the deck anyways. So I kind of felt like that was unneeded.
Yeah.
What sucks now is because I made a really stupid D-Reap, like Mother was my egg, but then it was all Digizorb green. So that way I could play Samadhi Santa. I don't know if you remember that really bad deck I made.
I remember.
But that plays 4 Blossomon, so I can Digizorb the Mother and Digivolve for free up into Shiva or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that stupid deck did. But I had a lot of fun playing it. Now I can't even use that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. And it's also funny, too, because I don't know if Bandai knew exactly what they were doing with this. I'm calling kind of BS on this.
Yeah.
Because Blossomon is in the reprint set.
Yep.
It's Blossomon is in the reprint set, a nice foil Blossomon, and now it's just getting restricted.
On top of that, they just gave us in the tournament kits the borderless Grand Quagamon promo.
The Grand Quagamon makes me the most mad out of everything on this list. Because
I agree.
Green had two. Okay, guys, this is nothing against Green players.
Yeah.
This is nothing against people that like to play their fun decks, their favorite decks. Because you and I are definitely like that, where we have passion projects and love our fun decks. If we're strictly talking from a meta perspective, there are two pure green decks, Grandis
that are competitive,
and Bloomlord. Bloomlord Hydro, any combination of that. Yes, Imperial Dramon is half green, but that's a blue deck.
Yeah.
Let's shut that aside.
Be your C tier. Yeah.
You took away the entire green presence in the meta.
Yeah.
By
and this
hitting
deck,
these
deck was already vulnerable to all kill spells,
yes,
all Beelzemon stuff, a lot of red.
You don't have protection in Grandis. You digiburst all the sources. You hit one option.
One Rivals Barrage, you're done.
One Rivals Barrage, one Gaia's Force, one Mega Death, one Kikaitis Breath,
Iron Fist,
one Great Maelstrom, one Wyvern's Breath, one Chaos Dag.
Yeah.
There are you even hit a Flame Hell Scythe, bump its DP down by 6k, the next check it could die.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're like, that's too strong.
And I'm legitimately upset with the Grandis hit like this because give not only that, it's a cool mechanic Digiburst that is underrepresented right now. Like obviously promo Black War Gray is making a big comeback right now.
Until they see my Red War Gray OTK.
Until they see that. But like Digiburst is underrepresented.
Yeah.
And you took this away, especially if green's supposed to be the Digiburst color that does it the best, better than
wasn't
anybody
this
else.
card already limited to one in
the Ultimate Cups? In the
So-
Ultimate Cups. Because now, in the Ultimate Cups, I'm not nearly as upset about because when you're talking about a monocolor format,
then the power balance shifts.
Grandis definitely becomes like one of the strongest decks for sure. But now you're talking like you can't go play in locals with Grandis anymore.
Yeah.
Are you serious right now? I'm like upset about this. I didn't think the deck was too dominant.
No.
Yes, it's fast. Yes, it's OTK. And if their objective was to slow down the meta, there would be a lot more than just 4 cards that they restrict.
Yeah.
They didn't hit anything in the Wargrave deck this time. I'm not saying that it needs to be. That's not what I'm saying. But if their objective is to slow down the OTK style meta, right? What are they doing with this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't agree
When
with
this thing dies, when it hits security, like you pretty much just lose the game.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't spawn out more bodies. It doesn't do things. It doesn't have protection like Wargrave where you can just
Tamers for
you can
free.
just strip 2 sources and then survive. Like it blew my mind that they went hardcore on this just for regular tournament play.
Yeah.
And we also had some people upset about this Where Garurumon.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Because we haven't seen a very strong Melga presence at our locals for a long time.
It's still a really strong deck.
It is.
I think Melga has a lot more fans in the more meta areas. Like I know Arsene has one loyal Melga fan, and he just kind of hasn't been there as much as we like you. We miss you, dude.
Yeah.
I think Melga X is an annoying deck. It's one of the decks that I dislike playing against the most.
Yeah.
Right.
Melga and Dark Knight, I think, are the two.
I like Dark Knight though.
You like playing against it?
I like playing against Dark Knight because I think it's a cool play style and I think it rewards
so much Digivolve. It drives me nuts.
It is, but you know what? It's a black deck that has that strong presence. It's one of the meta decks, right? It's like imagine you took away all the black presence from the meta too, and you just made it so you to play Wargrave. But anyways, Wargaroo, this card is brutal, man. I mean, like the fact that it unsuspends, has high DP. It's just too strong. It's too fast. I think Melga can still be played.
I think so too.
I think Melga has enough alternatives to where you don't necessarily need this card. Obviously, this helps. I wonder if it'd be a little bit better if it didn't have the inheritable, or if it just had the inheritable.
+1. Yeah.
You know, because Melga is dominant, man. Like you can't. Sometimes it just feels like you can't do anything against him.
When I saw this and when I saw the Grand Kawaga, I thought maybe in the sets they're about to reveal, they're going to show cards that would break these cards.
Yeah.
But Bandai has never been that proactive about stuff before.
Well, I will say something positive because I think I get what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're right. The cards that they already have in the set, they can only go so far with the game. And a lot of people are upset that the game is too fast to where if they're trying to play something and by turn 3, your opponent has a level 6 swinging for 5 checks or blitz for game, right? Or something like that, your opponent's going to get frustrated and not want to play.
Yeah.
So OTK is a menace. But at the same time, like Digimon has kind of always been like a big, powerful Digimon kind of game.
Yeah. Turbo's always been a play style.
Turbo's always been a thing.
And that's why people countered it by playing more kill spells. And stuff,
you know, that's where security control came from, right?
Yep.
And I think a lot of it just became of the fact that there was ways to get around the security control more than just teching in a delicate plan.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, with all the inheritables or whatever. So I think I agree with the Immon restriction because I feel like Beelzemon players get rewarded for not having to think too hard in a way, because I feel like the deck does play itself.
Yeah.
And this is nothing bad against Beelzemon players.
They
I
just
love
get to
all
mill
you guys.
so much, and the odds of them milling and hitting one of those and milling an additional.
But it's got a very linear path, right? Like you just do what's in front of you. You mill things. You don't have any say of what happens when you mill. You just do what happens one by one when the cards come up, and then you get Beelzemon X and win.
I think that's the linchpin that really killed this card. Was the fact that card just trashes your security and wins the game.
Yeah, and so it's frustrating to say that because I mean no disrespect to Beelzemon players.
No,
I'm a big fan of the deck. I like mill decks, but it does kind of suck when it feels like a deck plays itself.
Yeah.
You know, and can then also do so well that 4 of the top or 3 of the top 4 at an event is all Beelzemon.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it mills, plays bodies, kills your stuff, and there's 8 cards in the deck now that gain memory when it mills those cards.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard because there's nothing.
EX2, right?
Yeah.
It was fair. Back in EX2 was fair, and you could even argue the set before the BT12 stuff that it was pretty fair too.
Yeah.
But it's just how fast and how strong it got, man. It's crazy.
It's just out of your control.
But it's not Grandis level.
No. Yeah.
Grandis isn't as good as Beelzemon.
Yeah.
Melga is obviously really strong, but it's not as good as Beelzemon. So I agree with that. And I also don't think Bloom Lord is. So it's just like Bandai just hates green, which sucks because I was reading some stuff the other day. Green should be a card or color that is represented more in Digimon.
I agree.
Because it's like Magic has those big giant creatures that get rewarded with green that people want to play and want that payoff.
The 12, the 15-15s. Yeah, like that's
green should have that for Digimon, where it's these big green bugs, dinosaurs, dragons, whatever that are in green that are just like green stomp and just over and over again, and they just keep shooting themselves in the foot with green.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, okay, we got green potatoes.
Yeah.
You know,
it's almost like they regret creating Digizorb as a mechanic in the game.
It does feel that way because they've been very careful to not give us a Digizorb that makes the Evo completely free sense.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think Blossomon broke the deck.
I don't think so either.
There's only, like you only play that in a couple decks really. And it's like, whatever.
You can punish your opponent so bad on your turn if they have 4 suspended Digimon. You just kill them all. You know, it's
kill them all. You Crimson Blaze.
There's so much removal in this game, especially like DG Dimension. Like there's so many kill spells in this deck or in this game that
it would be interesting to see if Bandai revises their restricted list in the future.
Yeah.
And ends up taking Blossomon off or putting it as 2 maybe in the future at some point.
We don't have any 2s though. It's either 1 or nothing.
We don't have any 2s I agree. And we also have not seen Bandai go back on the restricted list and allow cards to be legalized. But I do think we're getting to a point in the game where with 20 sets out,
15,
20 sets out, 25 sets out, whatever.
Well, if you count starter decks, you're 20 plus. Yeah.
Where they can effectively take a card off a restricted list.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't unban Mega Digimon Fusion. Blue Hybrids
broken. Yeah.
would be terrifying at that point, right? But
I mean, we do have yellow players calling for Jet Sylphie to come back.
Yeah.
Which I am, if you would have asked me,
Jet Sylphie, like.
Oh, I did. Yes,
I mean,
you did.
yes,
you did too. During BT7, yes, you did.
Yellow Hybrids was frustrating. Do not get me wrong, but they restricted like after Yellow Hybrids.
They restricted what?
They restricted Jet Sylphie past Yellow Hybrids.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was after it was
too late at that point. And then not only that,
they just tied it in with the blue stuff, with the Tommy.
Yes, they got to recover, but it's not like it was Blue Hybrids where they shut you down.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They should have just errated it, so it's like if you're not at 5 or more, like you know what I mean, like you shouldn't be able to go to 7 or 8 for 1.
Yeah.
You should have like capped at 5 or 6. That's what broke the card for me.
I got you. So do you think there's any cards that were not on this restricted list that you were expecting to see, you thought you should see, hear chatter that there should be? Because I always hear Cool Boy.
Everyone talks about
Everybody talks about Cool Boy. and I don't know if I agree with Cool Boy needing to be hit.
I don't agree with it because one, like we talked about it before, and we got some comments, so we got some feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I wasn't completely right, but I wasn't completely wrong about the fact that outside of Alphamon and the new Gaiomon, and I guess the new Dino Rexmon, like we don't have a whole lot of X antibody support coming out in the next few sets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So someone corrected me on the Gaiomon. I forgot about that.
I didn't see that one. Good correction there, because you're right. That is.
Yeah. So we do have some X antibody support, but no like this X antibody. It's always just like an X antibody, form of that, but not the actual Digivolve for Zero version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think if we're talking about future proofing moving forward, I think we're safe on the Cool Boy. I think we're okay.
I agree we're safe on the Cool Boy because it does take spots for the Tamers. There's nothing that plays Cool Boy for free, right? Whereas like that's the thing we seem to be noticing with BT12 right now is that everything can play Tamers for free.
Yeah.
That, that's what makes all these decks terrifying right now is they don't have to spend a turn setting up Tamers or play just one or whatever. Whereas there's not a way to play Cool Boy for free. Yes, you could make the argument to maybe errata to a 3 cost and that would make it more balanced. But, there are decks that still are not playing a lot of X antibody stuff. Or if they are, they don't need the Cool Boy.
Well, I feel like the game is evolving more towards playing more tribal. Like every deck, I think now, especially in this set, you have the Greymon stuff that plays the ties for free. You have all the other stuff that plays the tribal tamer for free, right?
Yep, I agree.
So I think Cool Boys are going to kind of fall into the Takumi side of things, where the white tamers usually end up, where it's maybe a 1 or a 2 of. But as far as it's going to be interesting to see with the Japanese sets whether or not these Ace Greymon decks and stuff like that go the X antibody route. Like we're going to get to see a little bit of advanced knowledge of where they decide to go. Yes. Are they going to play the Metal Greymon Ace with the Metal Greymon X antibody? Like is that how they're going to build that deck, or is it just going to be like total risk reward and they're just going to try and get into the 6?
It totally feels like with BT14 that they're starting over in a good way with Digimon. I'm sure you feel this way too, where we do have a couple Ace cards, but it's not that many compared to what we thought we were going to see. And they're redoing the level 4s of jamming. Yeah. Right? They're giving us all season 1 Digimon so far, basically, where it almost feels like a revamp. Yeah. Where not that they're rebooting the game doesn't need to be rebooted or nothing, but they're kind of like trying to get this balance back. Yeah. Right? Like we saw that awesome Devimon, right? Where it's like, that would have been such a sweet thing sets ago. That makes perfect sense. But now they can do it, or they're giving us all these cool abilities or whatever, where it almost, again, I don't want to say reboot. It just feels like they're trying to make the balance right. Maybe slowing down the game would be good for everybody, because I think legitimately there are a lot of people burnt out.
Yeah,
right,
I feel like they're trying to. I don't know about slow it down.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I agree with that. The fact that they're trying to like gear it towards more tribal ways to play the game. Like if you're gonna play, you're gonna play like the cards that are associated with it. You're not gonna try and mix and match as much.
Yeah,
but man, those God, what are those new? They're not memory boosts, but the new trainer card, training cards.
Yeah.
The ones that let you grab just a color of card.
Yep.
You can grab Tamers, Options, Digimon.
I'm excited for those. It makes a lot of sense.
Man, seeing the combination of those with memory boosts in decks are going to be insane.
I
love those generic ways that they tweak the entire game by saying every color gets these, right?
Yeah, and that's how
we'll put them down on the screen.
That's how it should be. For those, since you don't know, Jesse, no offense to you or nothing, but that is from the Digimon games where you would train a specific stat.
Oh, okay.
Right. So red is the physical, so you train your attack stat. Purple is wisdom, which is like your special attack for Pokemon fans or whatever. And then I can't remember what the other colors are, but
red is courage.
They all have their own stat.
Yeah.
Right. That you would train, especially if you played Digimon World Next Order recently. You take your Digimon to the little training center. You put them in a training session, they increase their stat, so that's what it's from. Yeah. It's really cool. I'm really happy about that.
I think they cost 2.
They cost 2, and then
you get to look at the top 2 cards.
Top 2.
Grab one color. Doesn't matter what just whatever the color is. And then when you Digivolve, you get to reduce the cost by 2. I think that's how it is. So you net your memory back. You get your net your memory back on Digivolve.
Yep.
And you get to grab just a card. Like
correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if that would work in the raising area.
What do you mean?
I don't
No,
think
the
you can-
digivolving doesn't work.
Yeah,
in the
so
raising.
you can't reduce the 2 costs for
No.
Digimon in the raising area,
No,
which
no,
is
no.
interesting, right?
It'd have to be
Right.
on the field for sure.
Yeah.
So you net your 2 back there. So it's like a better master to disciple, right?
I agree. It's way
Because
better
you get
master
to grab an option, a tamer, or a Digimon.
Whether or not it's better than Memory Boost, I don't know. But I think pairing them both together.
A lot of people mill over their tamers and stuff. Mill over their tamers, mill over their options. I know in a couple of my decks, I would use that over a memory boost.
I think so. I'm definitely excited to start experimenting with them. But I mean, I do think Digimon was getting a little dangerous, back to the original topic of being a little too OTK, where it felt security control couldn't even compete. Because at least, yes, everybody hates the security control player, guys. You know, everybody's tired of playing against it for sure. Some people like to be that villain. I get it. But every game needs that balance, right? You kind of need that balance to where, yes, you have the security control players stopping the OTK players, and it just felt like the OTK players just got everything they needed. And security control players, yes, they did get a lot of good pieces, don't get me wrong, but it was almost like they had to work. Maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. They just, it just wasn't fair almost, which, I mean, I guess maybe boo-hoo security control players. Maybe I shouldn't defend them. But
you have a security control deck. I have a security control deck.
I like security.
I love security control.
Mechanic.
I love the way to play
the fact that you get to recover, and then you have it's still chance.
Yeah,
you don't know what card you recovered. It could be the Magna Angemon that you wish you had in your hand that you recovered.
They can swing for 5 check and hit nothing,
or they can play ADP. It's still fair, right?
Yep.
Like
there's ways around everything.
When the game came out of balance, I'm excited for this. I'm almost wondering if in the future there's going to be another restricted card list with pieces from Hunters and Cross, because if they're trying to take us back to stack decks with effects that are taking away OTK, are they going to get rid of these tamer based, you know what I'm saying? And like, do they hit anything in red hybrids? There's so many points to make, man. So it's very, very interesting to what's going on.
It's hard to, I don't know. It's hard to judge, because when you see restricted card announcements like this, and then you look at the results of regionals. I mean, let's jump into regionals. Let's jump into the 4th deck, right?
Okay.
Because for a long time we were seeing like half of the top decks like this, right? Beelzemon. So 4 of the Impmons that are restricted now, or as of,
this list looks very similar to one we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
With that one of BT2 Impmon.
Yes. So not playing a ton of those, so you don't mill yourself out.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So we're not going to dive super deep into this list, but when you look at the restricted list, you used to see this was half of the list that won, right?
Yeah.
And so people have adapted over the past month or two, and they're actually starting to play like, well, I'm going to see more of this than anything.
Yep. So they're tweaking.
So they're countering. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this list. Not that it's a bad list. You got 4th. Good job.
Yeah, obviously.
But we know what Beelzemon do. But let's jump into 3. So now we're jumping into Ulforce, right?
Yeah.
And this is an Ulforce list that if you would have told me it would have topped a month and a half ago, I would have told you you're crazy. Because this is Leoforce.
Leoforce, yep.
This is a slower version of Ulforce, but it's more control with the blockers. So it actually does better against the Beelzemon matchup.
I agree.
But it doesn't do better against like OTK matchups or stuff where you need to bounce your opponent. This is a borderline slower version.
Well, what I like about it too is if they, if you hit, what's the 4-cost option in Beelzemon that kills things? Deathslinger, right? You gain the memory back from the Leos.
Yeah.
Right. So it kind of controls it, like you said, in a way.
It's good against Hunters, and the fact that it runs, I think that's 4 of the Warp Vmons.
Yeah, just to get straight into
that blows me away already by itself, because I've ran 1 of those, 2 of those forever.
You didn't like it.
It's never come up in any of my testing.
Yeah.
And so the fact that people are teching that I'm just going to warp into Ulforce and skip all this other shit, like
it just
it blows me away that this deck got 3rd. Not that it's a bad deck, but this is the meta that we're in.
This is a really cool list.
Where this is the counter to what people are playing. And so obviously, like I guarantee you, if I took this list to our shop, I would lose, because we don't play that many Beelzemon players. We don't play that many Hunters players. Where this is this is a great counter to those decks for sure. This is a great counter to hunters because they're swinging with those Damemons and stuff like that, and you're just going to block with your Leomons.
Yeah.
Gain the memory, draw the cards. You're going to draw the cards off the Jerry. Like, this is a great list. But this is very meta. This is a very anti-meta Ulforce list.
So Ulforce makes me want to think of a point, right? Because the fact that they gave Ulforce the ability to bounce a Digimon, very similar to Melga.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what's almost most frustrating about the deck, and then it gets block or evade. It's very, very tuned.
Yeah,
they gave so many abilities to one deck, similar as Melga, similar to the Wargrave stuff. Now, I'm not saying anything should be hit in this, but do you think Bandai gave too much to one deck? Especially since you've been playing Ulforce so much, right? Like, do you think, hey, maybe it would have been a little bit more fair and balanced if it didn't bounce something, or if it didn't have evade, or if it didn't have blocker, or, well, you know what I'm saying, right?
I'm going to say no just because they introduced Quartzmon.
Okay.
Quartzmon is literally the counter to this deck.
Yeah.
And it is this deck. If someone plays a Quartzmon, I'm looking at the deck right now. If they don't have the Death X, then they just lose the game.
I agree.
There's nothing that lets them unsuspend and bounce anything in this entire deck.
Yeah, so how they got away from Quartz, I don't know.
They
lost
must have played a lot of
Beelzemon.
Beelzemon. I mean, the Death X is there, so you can de-digivolve it.
That's true.
But other than that, I think, they might have gotten lucky. I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad deck. This is a great deck. But
that's why you and your Ulforce list played Merciful.
One Merciful, yeah.
So that way you could get around that Quartz.
And win the next turn.
And win the next turn.
Yeah.
And I agree with that decision a lot. Yeah. But it's like they hit the level 5 in Melga. Ulforce does that stuff almost better at this point, where it was all the Tamers and the checks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, and again, I'm not calling for anything to be hit in Ulforce. It's not what I'm saying. It's just one of those points I want to make where it's like, if Digimon is trying to reset, kind of go back to its quote unquote roots, but obviously much stronger with ace cards and all that stuff, and they hit the level 5 in Melga, like, but we're still gonna have Ulforce.
I think this is a legacy thing though, where like Ulforce fans were left in the dark for 14 sets.
I agree. Don't get me wrong.
Finally they give it to us where we're like, oh yeah, let's do something. Here's the best Tamer in the entire game for one single deck. They can't take that from us.
No, I agree. I mean, I agree. Again, I'm not calling for any hits out of anything. It was just like did they put too much in one deck question.
If they do hit something in this deck, it should be something moderate like the V Tamer.
Yeah.
Because the V Tamer is what really, I think, accelerates this deck. I know the arena is obviously crazy, but if you want to play this deck, you have to invest a lot of money to get those arenas.
Rot it so it doesn't bounce anything to hand. That's what sucks about playing Melga and Ulforce, right?
that's
Because
the best part. That's the only removal.
for the Ulforce player.
There's no room for removal in this deck.
I get that. I understand that. But the fact that you get to do all of your OTK shenanigans and then prevent your opponent from setting up to try to stop you is like insane to me. Again, I'm not calling for
take away the evade. I mean, maybe
take away the evade.
Maybe the evade is probably the
Now the evade is not completely broken because the evade does just kind of stop you from swinging one more time with the Ulforce get. I get
but
it.
You can't just Gaia Force my Ulforce deck.
Exactly. Again, they just overtune the crap out of a lot of these tribes, which I'm all for. I love tribal games. I love tribal stuff. But it's just an interesting conversation I wanted to have.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm glad to have it because this is my favorite deck of the format for sure. This is the one I've had the most success with. I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
It's a great deck. I mean, I played with the Leo stuff. I like the Leo stuff, but
you were excited about the Leo stuff, but I think you just left that to me, the Leomon player.
Oh, I kept all my alt arts, and I'm glad I did for all the reveals from BT 50 to 14.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into the second deck. So here we go. 3 Blossomons.
Yep.
So not a Grandest deck.
Not a Grandest deck, and this deck will be hit, right? Because of the fact that it's going down to 1.
I think you just go up on your Cherrymons, right?
I think you go up to the Cherrymons. You just go up 2 on the Cherrymons for sure.
And you call it good.
Honestly, that or Cherrymons. I mean, you could play the Pistamon, which is that little biker Pulsemon tribal dude. But
and if you guys haven't checked out Basil's list on our channel, check his out because
it is very similar.
He goes in depth on almost every card on this list
about why he plays it and what he thinks. And I do like this list though. I think it's a cool list. I really like the 4 green memory boost. I'm a big fan of it. I almost like the no removal on it. It's interesting.
Also running the one of Mimi.
Yeah, one of Mimi, which makes a lot of sense too for green. But it's interesting, like no green removal spells, right? Because you're just kind of focusing on your Digimon, and Bloom Lord is kind of a very powerful deck that once it gets going, it's kind of hard to stop.
Well, the Hydra is the removal, right?
The Hydra's the removal. Yeah. It's got some removal. It's a little bit harder to trigger the Hydra. Yeah. Obviously, Bloom Lord is really easy to hit Hydra compared to other decks. But Quartz, it's a 3 of Quartz. It's really powerful. So it does a lot of work in this deck, and it makes a lot of sense to me, right?
I wanted to ask you about this deck, though.
Okay.
Did you ever think you would see a second place regionals deck with a 3-2 split on the eggs?
That's the first thing I noticed with this deck, and I'm really glad you brought that up to me. I don't understand this for the life of me. Hopefully, this is the reason they got.
I knew that would drive you nuts. I bet you like watch that and you start itching your neck.
I'm like,
You're
just God, what is go this? To 4, yeah. Go to 4, yeah.
Go to 4 or 1 and drop the other.
And it's really funny too because it's the BB-mon, so it's not like it's
what
like
does that one even do?
I don't. It's like something.
When one of your opponents Digimon is suspended, you get 1K.
Yeah, so it's like it's not even that strong.
Argamon's way stronger. Start your turn.
And it's like you're not suspending your opponent that much. Like yes, they have the Palmumon. Yes, they have the Hydrassi. Yes, they have Quartz to do it. But it's like you're gonna do all that for 1K. Yeah. You're not gonna play Gummymon to draw a card. You're not gonna play 4 Argos to gain the memory.
When you
why do you do this to me? No, it's okay. But obviously, there's a reason why they got second, and I did not place.
Well, you didn't play.
I mean, I didn't play. Not saying that I would have placed, though.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the first place, because the first place surprised me more than anything. But at the same time, I've played a very good Red Hybrids player at our locals. And then I remembered how fast and how strong that deck went.
Fast and terrifying and aggressive it is. And
especially once he also added those Gravity Crushes. Oh my God, this deck just goes.
Everybody's on the Gravity Crush kick. I get it, man. Hey, you can come visit me when I have like 40 of these Gravity Crushes from BT1 with all the boxes we opened in the beginning. So, you know, you guys jump on my bandwagon, I guess.
That's not getting a reprint in RB1, is it? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think Blinding Ray is.
I think Blinding Ray is,
but not Gravity Crush. You're right.
Yeah.
I did not expect Gravity Crush to make such a comeback, which is so funny to me.
But what do you think about that top row? Look at all those 4s. That's gotta get you going.
Oh yeah.
Look at that 4.
I love Red Hybrids. I think Red Hybrids is such a cool deck. I think it's really interesting. I think it's how hybrids should be represented, right? Especially the fact that BT 12 that was the main protagonist, or for the Red Hybrid color or whatever. I get that, but do you think anything in this deck needs to be hit? That's the $1 million question, right? Because
I don't know.
If they're talking about slowing down the OTK, if they're talking about keeping decks under control and keeping it balanced, what's stopping this deck from winning again, right?
Why do you need to stop decks from winning again?
No, it's not that you need to stop winning again. I just think that there's a lot of universal frustration with Red Hybrids because of how fast and aggressive it is.
You think so?
I do think so.
I think that a lot of people were relieved when this won.
I don't think so.
You thought people were frustrated and they were like, this deck? You think people thought that this deck is broken?
Yes, absolutely.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. Let us know in the comments what you think about Red Hybrids. I think a lot of people think Red Hybrids is broken because it's just so fast and so aggressive. Like, I would argue Atomic Inferno to be hit because it just gives so much strength to the deck. Again, I'm not calling for any restriction. I'm not saying it should be. I'm not saying it needs to happen. I just want, if a card were to get hit, I think it would be the Atomic Inferno.
I think they go older and they just go Gravity Crush.
You think Gravity Crush should be hit? I don't think Gravity Crush needs to be hit. It's a weak card.
I guess Gravity Crush would
stop a lot of decks from popping off. I get that, but I don't think Gravity Crush is what won him. It's the Atomic Inferno is what wins. You load up a level 4, you give it all the DP, you give it all the security checks with the Atomic Inferno, and they just win.
Does it survive against options, though?
No, there's the Aldemon that prevents you from checking options, right? So it's like you have so many ways to get around so many different decks, and the Atomic Inferno just speeds it up to a crazy level. That's the card that I see. Like, back in the day when hybrids was a thing, do you remember Christmas hybrids, the green-red?
Yeah.
Right? People played red with their green stuff for the search because red had the better search for the hybrids besides the Boko and the Atomic Inferno. The way to make green hybrids better was to play with the red.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
I've played a bunch of different decks against red hybrids, and I think the one that really countered it the best was Venusmon.
I agree with that.
That was the one where it was just like, well, I don't get any of my when attackings or when digivolvings. Yeah. Well, then.
But Venusmon doesn't stop the other decks in the meta as nearly as well.
I agree.
right? Which is why Venusmon was probably underrepresented, which is probably why this red hybrid player was allowed to go run rampant, right?
Because we haven't seen hardly any yellow in the top decks.
We haven't. We haven't.
As far as like yellow, you might see a security control deck hit top 16.
I think we saw last week we talked about a top 4 that had that because it had that Venusmon and
a security control. It wasn't we haven't seen a yellow tribal deck in a long time.
It's never gonna happen. Lord Knight happened. Everybody got scarred.
Everyone got pissed.
Everybody got pissed, and yellow's like, no, wrong primary color to mess with, apparently. So, it's always going to be security control because yellow is kind of more of a control color, anyways.
Yeah.
Yellow will become more popular with all the shine gray stuff in EX4.
The new Nightmon.
Yep, with the new Nightmon, maybe. Sure, keep telling yourself that. But Shadow Seraphi's insanely strong in EX4 too. So
that's good, yeah.
Security control is going to get stronger. A lot more yellow represented, but. Dude, I'm telling you, man.
Oh, you're
Red Hybrids was a frustrating deck.
You forgot about Chessmon, bro.
I do love that stuff. I like the.
There will be a Chessmon profile on the channel for sure.
Like day one,
if not 2 or 3 of them. I'll do mine. You do yours.
Well, I'll wait for like King Checkermon to come out.
There you go.
Because I'll play checkers.
That's got to be red black, right?
Red black, I think, because it just jumps. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Anyways. No, I know personally I get frustrated playing against red hybrids.
This is the first time this is top, though.
It feels, but it just feels like you can't do anything against it. Like the other decks, like you can. You have a little bit more time. Red hybrid just goes.
It's pretty fast.
Crazy how fast it is.
If they get a tamer turn 1, pretty rough.
Yeah, and the fact that their Takuya is now a memory setter, and I mean, like, it's a hybrid deck that only plays 8 hybrids. That's
or 8 tamers.
So 8 tamers. You used to have to play 12 tamers in hybrids to do anything.
Yeah.
Right, and this deck is so good. It only needs 2 Bokomons instead of like 4. I like all the Nemon splashes that people do to play the Takuya for free. So it's, I don't know. Again, I'm not complaining about the deck. I like the alternative play style. I think it's cool that the hybrid stuff is a thing.
I don't think it's gonna get hit though.
I don't think anything else is going to get hit. Let me clarify that again. Nothing. It's just conversation about the decks doing too much.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, what did a lot for you this week? Let's get into cards of the week.
Okay.
Because I'm really excited about this.
You are. We had a good week of testing.
Oh, yeah. We had a great week of testing. We both built decks that we wouldn't normally build. I mean, I was trying to find, like, alt arts for Greymon stuff, and I feel like I was trying to, like, buy back stuff that, like, I had sold.
Just like stopped playing Greymon.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm having fun with Greymon again. And people are like, what do you mean? Like you haven't done that for like a year and a half.
Yeah. I mean, you want to just go since you're talking? You might as well do card of the week.
What, you want to do yours first?
No, you do yours, man. You're already talking. You started it.
Fine. We'll do mine first. So mine is the ST1 War Greymon.
Wow, kicking it way back.
All the way back. And back then, everyone was like, well, this isn't the best Greymon.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's every 2 sources in its Digivolution cards, you get Security Tech +1.
Yeah.
Which back then you had a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5, right? Well, someone was asking me on Discord about it because I was like, well, I have the Greymon, and they're like, why do you think that they printed that one? Because it wasn't very good. And I was like, yeah, but it could be good now. And so that kind of started the juices flowing, And I have like a 45-minute drive to work, so a lot of things like a lot of my Digimon stuff happens on my drive to work because I'm just like dissociating from the drive. And so I started thinking about it. I was like, well, we have X antibodies, 3s, 4s, 5s, and an option, right? So there's a lot of ways to get that up to crazy huge. And then we also have plugins that give it blocking or can't be blocked and jamming.
Yep.
And then ADP is an old ass card. So I was like, let me try and put this together. Anyways, I've been having a lot of fun with this card. It goes fast. There's a ton of ways to search it. It's a lot of fun. So my card of the week is the ST1 War Greymon. My event pack ones are on their way. I can't wait. They're $10. Do you remember when event pack 1 came out and that was one of the most expensive event pack 1 cards?
All the event pack cards were so expensive back
that was
then,
by far one of the most expensive.
Yeah. It's crazy how expensive things were back then. I'm seeing it in other games right now too, where their first event packs are coming out and it's super expensive right now. So don't worry, guys. It'll balance out. The price.
There was that, and then Lord Knight were I think the two most expensive.
Because Lord Knight was popular at the time.
Oh, it was like king of the castle. Yeah,
BT4
you had that, and you had Nidhogg, and you had a couple like. It was a whole different game back then.
It was a lot of fun back then. That was that Wargrey was my wife's favorite deck for a long time at the very beginning. When we first started playing, we tried a bunch of different things with her. It's so funny. We were talking about Old Force earlier. That was the first deck she tried to play with Japanese cards where we had to have all the translations, and that was a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
Do not teach somebody how to play the game with Old Force. That was even back in BT2, and it's still relevant today in BT12. But yeah, no, she really liked that red Wargrey, even though it was a 4-cost Evo. She loved the power back then before there was any fat stacks, any Chimera, any X antibody, any options to tuck. So it's a really cool card. And I think what I really liked is that you kind of had the same general energy / idea in the universe right now. A lot of people are having, because there's a lot of chatter about the promo Black Wargrey,
right,
with the Digiburst, where it's Digibursting 2 to unsuspend, and they are creating fat stacks using Chimera and the X antibodies and all that.
Is it to unsuspend or get Security Tech +1?
It's to unsuspend.
Oh, okay.
It's to unsuspend. It gets.
It's the Grand Coaga there.
It's the one that they restricted. But yeah. So, anyways, so you zagged while everyone zigged.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's kind of, I had people hit me up asking me for cards specifically for that Black Wargrey promo deck for Store Championships.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's going to be popular, and I think your take on it is really cool. It's actually really refreshing.
I get to keep all my inheritables.
Yes.
I don't got to get rid of them. Yeah.
You're going to keep the inheritables, and you don't have to like Digiburst unsuspend, Digiburst unsuspend, Digiburst unsuspend.
Yeah.
Like you just at once. So I really like it. I really like what you did.
Yeah. We got to fine tune it a little bit today. We shot it today, so we'll get it on the channel soon. And we shot some of your stuff today too.
We did. It was.
I'm gonna guess that influenced your card of the week as well.
It definitely did. So, guys,
what do you got?
A BT11 was coming out, and I was so excited about the red birds, and then I just never built it. I don't know what was holding me back. I was like having some sort of mental block or writer's block or whatever the term is for Digimon.
No, you were playing your X antibody deck.
And I was playing my X antibody deck, and I was having a lot of fun with other decks, but I just wanted to play red birds, and I think it was like looking at, because there's so many ways to play that deck. Like it may not seem like it, because it's like all the other decks in BT11, BT12, where it's like you have distinct 4-ofs that you're going to play. But like it was hard to figure out everything else for the deck. But my card of the week is the BT11 Phoenixmon. Great card.
I had no idea what that card did until you beat the hell out of me with it
It's
today.
super exciting, man. I had this awesome play where I was able to play 2 Phoenixes in one turn with the ability of it, but
to rush,
which is crazy to me. I didn't think that was going to happen, but red birds, a lot of fun. I really like the Phoenixmon. Phoenixmon, those of you who don't know, it doesn't have a when digivolving effect, so you brought up some great points about the Venusmon stopping when digivolving and when attacking. Yeah. That's not what Phoenixmon has.
No, it has like a Black Wargrey effect.
Yeah, it's similar. So it says when opponents on your turn, when your opponent loses a card in their security stack, when the cards are moved, however they word it, you can activate an on deletion effect of your Digimon.
Yeah.
So all of these red cards are stealing from purple and have on deletions of playing a tamer, drawing a card, gaining a memory. Or the Phoenix on deletion, you can play an avian, a bird, a sovereign, as long as it's not a sea animal, whatever. And it can't obviously play dragons or dinosaurs and stuff like that. But it starts off at 3K, and then for each red tamer, it goes up 2K. So it's really cool deck. It's really fun. I really like the fact that it got such strong support in BT11. Even though it maybe not have been a meta top tier deck, it's still really strong. It does allow you to do what a lot of the tribal decks that I like don't do, which is play tamers for free.
Yeah.
Because having to take the time to play tamers really hurts. And then it gets more support.
Yep.
It's getting EX3. It's getting a whole nother tamer for it. Marcus's little sister.
EX4.
I was looking at that today, actually, where it supports that. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that, right? And
I would argue it's also one of the best budget decks.
It's a really good budget deck. There's not...
Altart it and get all those shiny textured cards and still not break the bank.
There's really not anything crazy expensive in that deck now that I'm thinking about it. You could play it a lot cheaper than I think how I have it, with just by taking out, a Gaia Force if Gaia Force is expensive. But I think there's enough versions printed where it's not that bad.
$3 or $4.
Or Blitz Omni you could take out, right? Like, it's not really a lot of expensive cards in that deck, and there's so many ways you can do it. You can mix with the Marsmon. You can mix it with Raid Wargrave if you really want to. You can play any red level 6 you like, but it's getting more support EX4, and it's also getting a promo card, the Saber Dramon. I'm really excited for. So, a lot of good stuff in that deck. The Phoenix Mon is a lot of fun. That's my card of the week.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week, my guy.
Yeah.
Are you ready for next week?
Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to top this week. This was a good week.
This was a fun really week with a lot of testing, but we got big ol' episode 40 next week.
Episode 40, guys. Wow. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for 40 weeks now.
Yeah. I'm really excited. We'll try and drum something special. Maybe we'll do a giveaway or something.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll learn the Olympus 12. We'll figure it out.
Oh, don't remind them of that.
All right, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. We'll catch you at number 40. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check out all these cool videos we have coming out. We have a lot of great contributors come to the channel, and show them some love, because we really appreciate them coming out and donating their time to provide you guys some really great content. So thanks, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.